Alright, so this is a video by Think Story, House of the Dragon Season 2, ending explained with Daemon's vision, Episode 8 breakdown. Let's get into it.
Dirty mud wrestling, excessive drinking, and waking up with a stranger in my bed. All in all, it seems like the House of the Dragon finale is bringing me back to my college days.
We're good, Streaky! Yes!
Oh dear. Season 2.
And I'm assuming everybody, if you haven't watched Episode 8, go ahead and check it out. It definitely sets it up for another season. I was hoping to see a little bit more war, a little bit more killing, but I guess we gotta wait however long we gotta wait for that. So, but yeah, check out season 8 or episode 8.
2 has come to an end, and I just know it's going to cause a lot of controversy due mostly in part to some major changes from the book. So in this video, we're going to take a deep dive into the episode and explore some of its biggest mysteries, like who this mysterious creature is, where Otto is imprisoned, and Daemon's wild vision.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Otto is locked up. Damn.
And Daemon's wild vision in which he sees Daenerys Targaryen. Note this is a non-book spoiler video, however I made a tiny exception at the very end, but you'll be warned before it happens. So gather your armies and pledge your allegiance. It'll only be about 2 years before season 3 comes out.
Damn man,
hey,
2 years bro! 2 years. I don't know if that writer block messed everything up, but come on. You guys know you're going to make another season. Why aren't you already writing it and make it? Bust it out like the Lord of the Rings did, where they just knocked out the 3 movies in like 3-4 years. Come on, man.
Tapestries.
Would you like to see the tapestry?
It's been updated to include a little more detail on that shot of Aemond victorious above Sunfire and Meleys at Rook's Rest. This leads to an image of Vhagar in opposition to Rhaenyra's army of dragons. Let me know if you think I've gotten any wrong, but I think these are Caraxes, Silverwing, Vermax, Syrax, Vermithor, Seasmoke, and Moondancer. We start with a Targaryen ship in an unnamed port on the continent of Essos, this giant landmass to the east of Westeros across the Narrow Sea. Tywin Lannister, Master of Ships, has come to parley with the Triarchy, a collection of the 3 free city-states of Myr, Lys, and Tyrosh. This is the same Triarchy Daemon, Corlys, and Laenor fought at the Battle of the Stepstones in Season 1. Although these Stepstones are just a smattering of inhospitable rocks in the middle of the ocean, they provide a strategic advantage that's worth fighting for. King Viserys didn't want the Triarchy holding the area for fear it could lead to an alliance with Dorne, which had fought several wars with the Targaryen kings since Aegon's conquest over a century ago. In fact, that giant dragon skull found in the library at Dragonstone is said to be that of Meraxes, Queen Rhaenys' dragon who died to a...
I did not know that. Learn something new every day. Okay.
Scorpion bolt in the First Dornish War. This Rhaenys, who is both sister and wife to Aegon the Conqueror, is not to be confused with the queen who never was, who died valiantly at the battle.
She went out like a G, dog. She went out like a G, straight up. Props to her, man.
So it's kind of ironic that the family which fought the Triarchy for years is now seeking their aid. Most of the small council was against Aemon's idea of an alliance, as the Triarchy are known for doing whatever is in their best interest. Who's to say that if they're victorious and breaking the blockade, that they would claim King's Landing for themselves?
What do you guys feel about him? Like what he did to his nephew? That was cool, bro. But then again, the nephew's dragon shouldn't have really ran up and spit fire in that big old dragon's face, because what do you expect? But yeah, I don't really mess with the homeboy.
After all, one of the leaders says with their armada, Tywin could take the throne if he wanted it. Although these 3 men are never named, we can assume they're the representatives from each of the Triarchy's 3 city-states. In the book, the Triarchy is governed by a High Council composed of 33 magisters, 11 from each city, making decisions a time-consuming and complex matter. These guys know Thailand and the Greens are desperate and, as such, have some pretty hefty demands if they're going to give over their fleet. In the book, this armada is said to be composed of 90 warships. And these guys are no fools either. They know Thailand comes from a literal mountain of gold, a reference to House Lannister's home at
looking all
Casterly
soft
Rock,
like
which
a
is
square
rich in
bear.
hundreds of gold veins, many of which sit untouched. In exchange for their armada, the Triarchy wants these stepstones. By controlling this area, they can impose taxes on any ships that pass through. But Thailand is worried the Triarchy may waylay ships, steal cargo, or kidnap traders as slaves. But he has no real choice but to accept the offer, even knowing it may result in Prince Regent Aemon hanging him. While the agreement is set, there's still one more important matter. The sailors of the Triarchy Armada will not sail without their commander, Sharako Lahar, and he won't sail for a man who cannot best him in battle. After retreating from Dragonstone upon discovering Rhaenyra's new dragon riders, Aemon lets loose his anger on the port town of Sharp Point,
I thought that was a hyena that was into chicks.
His anger on the port town of Sharp Point, located just to the south of Driftmark. Sharp Point is under the rule of House Bar Emmon and is loyal to Rhaenyra. You may recall that Corlys told Adam in episode 206 that Lord Bar Emmon wanted his nephew to serve as boatswain on the formerly named Sea Snake. I wonder if he was ever picked up in time. I love the transition of the burning city as we cut to the already burned King Aegon. Grand Maester Orwyle has been diligent in his care for the king and has been working with Master of Whisperers Larys Strong to get the king in good enough shape should they need to escape. And that's exactly what's happening. If Aegon continues to stay in King's Landing, it's only a matter of time before either his brother or Rhaenyra kills him. Larys senses, and rightly so, that Rhaenyra will be quick to make a move, and King's Landing is surely in her crosshairs. With 3 new dragon riders, the chance Team Green will be successful is almost...
This dragon rider is starting to get on my nerves. This dude. Like, if you've seen the episode, he starts to act like a little prick. He's like putting his feet on the table. He's getting mouthy. Like, know your place, dude. You should be happy that you even got called up and had the opportunity. Instead, you're over here acting like a punk and a bottom feeder, bro. Gotta represent your house, dog. Come on. But other dude, he's keeping it G. This guy, on the left right here, he's been keeping it solid. He's showing respect. He appreciates his opportunity. You know, he's happy to be there. He's grubbing, as you can see.
Team Green will be successful is almost non-existent. And Aegon is in a tough spot. He can't have his brother killed or arrested since he controls the only thing preventing Rhaenyra from becoming queen right now, and that's Vhagar. While Larys tells of his plan of escape, I found it pretty sad that Aegon is more interested in how others will look at him and that his penis was burnt off. Ramsay Bolton will be proud. Luckily, Larys had the foresight
Hey, bro,
to
but
move
that's
Harrenhal's
karma.
gold.
That's straight karma. You're acting like a straight prick. But look at him. That's what happens, bro. Damn, his own brother, though. That's what's sad. If you would have treated your brother nicely, I think we'd be having a whole different story right now. But instead, you're a freaking a-hole to your brother. I mean, gave him reason to run up on you like that. But I mean, I wouldn't do my brother like that, but damn, man. I'm not some inbreed Targaryen.
Penis was burnt off. Ramsay Bolton would
That
be
sucks.
proud.
I mean, I do
Luckily,
feel for him
Larys
right
had
there.
the foresight
Got
to
the
move
BB burned off.
Harrenhal's gold reserves to the Iron
Cold,
Bank
eh?
in Bravos, regarded as one of the wealthiest
Well, wish it on
banks in the
my
known
darkest
world.
enemy.
Together, the two can bide their time in Essos as Aemon and Rhaenyra tear Westeros apart. Then
Late,
the king
dog.
can come swooping in and reclaim his throne. He's got to be a bit delirious here as he gives himself the name Aegon the Realm's Delight. Throughout the season, he's joked with his friends about what he'd be known as, so it's pretty sad dad, he names himself what Rhaenyra was called as a child. Rhaena has her own little adventure this episode after abandoning her half-brothers, Aegon the Younger and Viserys the Second.
Yeah, what was up with that? So she did dip out on them. That was cold, eh? You don't do that. That was cold.
Was called as a child. Rhaena has her own little adventure this episode after abandoning her half-brothers Aegon the Younger and Viserys the Second. She senses a dragon nearby and traverses the hauntingly beautiful terrain of the Vale of Arryn before stumbling upon this dragon. The leading theory is that this is the wild dragon.
And obviously the dragon is not gonna kill her, or else they wouldn't even have this story in it, like her dipping on her half brothers to go find the dragon. So obviously the dragon isn't just gonna murk her right now. So we know going into the third season that now Queen Rhaenyra has 5 dragons, right? Because she got her dragon, her son's dragon, then so that's 6. Is that 6 dragons? Because it's her dragon, right? Her son's dragon, that sea smoke one, and then the 2 other ones that they have. The 2 other ones that they have that the common folk just got. So is that 5? And then plus this one, is that 6? Or am I just an idiot?
Wild dragon sheep stealer, and that Rhaena is taking over the character of Nettles from the book. Rhaena's shocked look
I need to read the
one
books.
of 2 things. A, the sheer shock of discovering a dragon. Remember that she was almost killed while attempting to claim
almost murked by that one
or
dragon.
B, the fact she knows who this dragon is. Because in the book, Sheep Stealer lives on Dragonstone, and surely Rhaena would have seen him. However, there are a lot of differences from the book. We can't be entirely sure. Although we never see her claim him, my guess is that in Season 3, we'll have Rhaena as a full-fledged dragon rider. That
100%.
one thing she's wanted more than anything else. But what about Aegon the Younger and Viserys? What will Rhaenyra think when she finds out Rhaena abandoned them? They're on their way to Pentos, so it's possible Rhaena will find their way back to them. I went from really rooting for Ulf last episode to thinking he's kind of a bastard, pardon the pun. He has no respect for Rhaenyra or the crown as we see him sitting in
he was
Rhaenyra's
acting
chair.
like a straight a-hole, bro, throughout the episode. Just a straight D-I-C-K. Disrespectful.
With his legs up on the painted table. Let's not forget how many of those little birds he eats. He can afford to get away with this, seeing as he's a newly minted dragon rider, and this especially pisses off Jace, who is already having problems with lowborn commoners being able to ride. Last episode, Jace told Rhaenyra that the only thing that gave him legitimacy as heir to the throne.
This fool being a big baby. You're rich, bruh. And you're a prince. And you're still crying. Go down there with the common folk and the beggars and everybody else who's struggling to grub right now. You're over here crying. Probably full meal, full belly.
Throne, since many believed him to be the bastard of Harwin Strong, was his ability to ride a dragon. But now if anyone can ride one, it strips him of that. So there's definitely some resentment towards the other dragon riders, and he tells Ulf, even though he may ride a dragon, he won't hesitate to have him hung. Not something you want to say to a guy who could take his dragon and switch sides. After several months of repair, Corlys Velarion's infamous ship the Sea Snake is once again ready for battle. Rhaenyra discusses with her hand how little she knows about the character of these new riders, but Corlys says Adam is a man of integrity. Rhaenyra does not know that both Adam and Alan are his bastard sons. Corlys knows they must strike quickly, while Rhaenyra downplays the threat of Team Green's other 2 dragons, Dreamfire and Tessarion. Dreamfire is Helena's dragon that we saw briefly in Season 1, but Helena does not have a taste for riding. Tessarion is Alicent and Viserys' 4th child.
She's a little weird, eh? Is she not? We lost her. Yeah, she's a little out there.
Hightower, and Rhaenyra believes, even if he is trained, the dragon will be about the same size as Jace's and he will be new to battle. Corlys decides to rename the sea snake to the Queen Who Never Was, a reference to his late wife Rhaenys, who almost became queen after the Great Council of 101 AC, the vote actually going to Viserys. Whereas everything he did on the sea snake was for his own glory and wealth, he vows that everything he does on the Queen Who Never Was will be for Rhaenys. But the big question this season has been what Daemon is going to do with his army.
Yeah, because Daemon has been tripping balls over there, where he's at. I don't remember what it's called, but he's just been tripping, having some weird visions, like, bruh. But I think it's all necessary for his character, because it kind of shows him, like, what it would be like if he was king, or like the results of being king and the burden that it bears on that person. So I think he kind of realizes, I mean, it's kind of cool where I'm at. I mean, I don't have to bear that burden as much, but I'm still right here, basically a shot caller, only second to his niece. So those visions, yeah, they were weird, but I think it helped guide him and make that choice at the end of the episode.
Going to take it for himself or hand it over to Rhaenyra. Last episode, Lord Oscar Tully solidified his alliance with Rhaenyra, and we can see his army has garrisoned it.
Oscar was cool because he was low-key getting disrespected by Daemon, and then once his grandfather died and he became the man, he was walking around a little different, a little bit different swag on him, was like carrying himself different, like, yo. He was even disrespecting Daemon a little bit too, so because he knows Daemon needs him if he's in order to make that next step to try to win this war.
Itself outside Harrenhal. The place is a hub of activity, with Daemon telling Lord Piper to be ready to muster in 2 days. They march for King's Landing. At the end of the episode, we'll see several armies which all seem to be converging on Harrenhal. We have Kristen and Gwain's contingent, the Hightowers, the Lannister and House Leffords, the Starks, and of course the Men of the Riverlands. Everyone's favorite fashion icon, Sir Simon Strong, the Castellan of Harrenhal, brings news that Sir Alfred Broom has arrived from Dragonstone. And the first thing Daemon says when hearing of this is the word interesting. Daemon,
I definitely don't trust this guy. Do you? I mean, I believe in the episode when they do all show loyalty to Queen Rhaenyra, he like walks out the room because he was already talking about how the realm doesn't need a queen, they need a king right now. So I think he's going to play a crucial part in the third season in playing some kind of sneak attack or betrayal against Queen Rhaenyra and Daemon.
Daemon must sense that Alfred has ulterior motives, and this is exactly what happens when the two speak outside in front of the weirwood tree. But before this happens, Alfred makes note of this sound.
And in times like this
is the same sound Daemon has heard throughout this season and is usually accompanied in many of Daemon's dreams. I think this is Alice Rivers listening in. She'll give Daemon this prophetic glimpse into the future, which I believe solidifies his decision to side with Rhaenyra. But more on that in a bit. Alfred says he and his men will side with Daemon should he choose to take the crown instead of Rhaenyra. They need a strong man as king. However, Daemon does not answer here. In one of the final scenes of the episode, after Daemon proclaims his fealty to Rhaenyra, you can see Alfred slink away into the crowd.
Yeah,
will Daemon come after Alfred, knowing he's a turncoat, or will he let this slide?
He's a turncoat
Jasper
for sure.
Wilde, the Master of Laws, informs Prince Regent Aemon Targaryen how Rhaenyra was able to smuggle the dragon riders out of King's Landing and to Dragonstone. Henceforth, every fishing boat will have to be inspected. This will cause considerable delays in getting food to an already starving people. Aemon basically says,
we must all make our sacrifices.
It's clear Aemon does not have much empathy for the small folk. In episode 206, when alerted to...
He's a punk. Got the common folk over here starving. We all must make our sacrifices.
The fact is people are restless, considering the lack of food and impending war. He merely states, So, you can see in his face even Jasper is worrisome about the regent's decision. We need to talk about Helena. Throughout season 1 and 2, it's been hinted that she has these sort of prophetic visions, but episode 208 confirms a lot of what we've been suspecting. She questions why the people hate them. Remember a few episodes ago, she and her mother were nearly killed by a mob. Even though it's Rhaenyra who has caused the blockade
Queen
leading
Rhaenyra.
to starvation, the people still blame the crown.
Even
You
now
know
she thinks
Aemon
of
is
us.
desperate when he barges in, demanding his
They
sister
were all
come to
stuck to
battle
get the
with him
food.
on her dragon.
I don't know if you guys saw the episode, but well, I'm gonna ruin it for you. So just a heads up. But yeah, Queen Rhaenyra, she starts sneaking in food or sending ships of food and supplies and stuff to the city. So the people get all happy and stoked. They're like, "Damn, Queen Rhaenyra, she's still messing with us, still repping with us." So, yeah.
In Dreamfire,
They're super
Aemon will even
pissed
put
off
his hands
at,
on her, dragging her toward
the
the
current
hall,
king.
having no respect that she is the queen. For Aemond, making commoners into dragon lords is a sin that must be punished, and to do so requires Helena to suit up for battle. But Alicent, who has always been Helena's protector, will not allow Helena to be corrupted. Aemond has just burned down an entire city, killing hundreds of innocent smallfolk just so that he could feel strong.
You know what I mean,
and
bro?
Alicent doesn't want Helena taking any part in that. Helena herself says she will not burn people. With Aemond as reckless as he is and Alicent devoid of any power, she takes matters into her own hands and, with the help of Maester Orwyle, departs for Dragonstone. This is a major change from the book, but we'll discuss that in a bit. The man we love to hate, Hand of the King Sir Criston Cole, holds Alicent's favor, given...
So just a heads up, my point of view is coming from somebody who hasn't read the books, so forgive me for all the hardcore fans that are going to crap on me in the comments. I'm just watching the show as it is.
Him a few episodes ago. Alicent had saved him from killing himself after he murdered Joffrey, Sir Laenor's secret lover, on the eve of Rhaenyra's wedding. He also says she saved him from the headsman's axe, so it was likely Alicent pleading to the king to spare Criston's life after this event. Gwaine has suspected for some time that Criston had been sleeping with his sister, and he feels this is an opportune time to confront the man about his past indiscretions. But Criston seems more depressed than when my wife left me, and it's almost as if a sword isn't even pointed at him, stating to die will be a kind of relief. His life of virtue has pretty much been a lie, his desire for women has brought him nothing but grief, and now he goes off to war against dragons that melt people like butter. His worldview has been completely crushed, saying that perhaps all men are corrupt and honor is a mist that melts in the morning. The talk is such a downer that even Gwaine sits next to him at the end like, man, I should go to therapy. Tylan takes on Lohar, showing
if you're going for Queen Rhaenyra, I mean, I'm assuming you would want Sir Criston to be alive, because it seems like he just keeps effing everything up.
Not only that he's the master of ships, but the master of trips. Okay, that was pretty bad. He's able to impress him enough to earn his respect in Armada. Lohar even offers up his wives for sexy...
Is that a guy or a girl? It looks like a girl.
Lohar even offers up his wives for sexy time. And to think all it takes is a rousing sea shanty. The plan is to make haste for the Gullet on the morrow, where Lohar hopes to come face to face with the man she faced in the Stepstones, Corlys Velaryon. Baela interrupts her betrothed blue steel practice to give him a little pep talk about
Shout out Derek Zoolander.
He's facing this existential
Center for Kids Who
crisis
Can't Read
that
Good.
his life is meaningless if anyone can be a dragon rider. But Baela is like, shut up, king. Rather than have this pity party, prove to them that you're worthy of the crown. Get up and take your rightful place by your mother's side. Rhaenyra welcomes her new riders with a banquet. It must be a welcome change for them, especially Ulf and Hugh, who just left a city where its citizens are starving. Rhaenyra informs them that the time to act is now. Even though they have little training, they must go before they lose their advantage. What does this entail? Well, a little bit of war crimes and genocide. Rhaenyra wants to burn down the strongholds of Old Town and Lannisport in 2 days' time. Something she deems necessary in order to break the will of the people and force them to surrender. In her mind, this killing of innocents is justified to spare the killing of even more in future battles. Note that there are two people at this table who immediately do not like this idea. that being Hugh and Bela. Ulf, on the other hand, is ready for war. The guy who was scared shitless last episode is now telling him he's afraid of nothing and will take on Vhagar himself. Their plans are put on hold when Rhaenyra receives a message from Sir Simon Strong, informing her that he fears Daemon is up to some treachery. Speaking of Daemon, Alice is creepily on his bed and notice that she's been crying. She has likely already seen the death and destruction she'll show Daemon when he touches the weirwood tree. Remember, this is a woman who heard on the quote whispers of the wind the sounds of brutalized women and children. Daemon ordered Willem Blackwood to take down the Brackens. She leads him outside to the weirwood tree where he catches a glimpse of an antlered creature. Now I've tried to go in and adjust the lighting to get a better look at what exactly this thing is, and here's what we know for sure. It has antlers, makes the sound of hooves while walking, and lets out a low, guttural, animal-like growl. To me, this eliminates it from being a child of the forest, which are much smaller and more human-like in nature. If I had to categorize what I think this thing is, it would be a Wendigo. And when I started to read what a Wendigo symbolizes, I think you might agree with me. Remember that Alice says this place has omens for those who care to look, so it's most likely this is not a real creature, as Wendigos are never directly referenced in the Game of Thrones universe. This is something more metaphorical. In Native American folklore, Wendigos as a concept represent a corrosive drive towards positions of power, wealth, and reputation. They also possess traits that sow disharmony and destruction if left unchecked. Daemon is all of these. His whole arc this season is about gaining power, and he certainly has a reputation for sowing disharmony and destruction everywhere he goes. That's exactly the reason why Viserys never named his brother Hand of the King, which led to Daemon's eventual resentment of him and added to their blow-up in episode 101. According to Alice, Daemon's time at Harrenhal has changed him. He came here believing the world would bend to his will, but discovered...
What I didn't like was Daemon was an a-hole to his brother, and his brother kept it G for him. Even at the meetings, he was holding it down, never let people disrespect his brother. Gave him everything. It's like, damn, bruh. Still hating? It's like Targaryen brothers, there's always got to be at least one hater in the fam.
The world would not be governed. He no longer scoffs when Alice mentions omens because he's experienced them for himself.
Even Daenerys' brother in House of Dragon was a hater. Remember? What's up with you guys?
Entire life dictating his own fate, but what Alice is about to show him implies fate is already decided. He is merely a player in this game and must play his role in what Helena calls a story, hence why the intro starts with a tapestry which are used to tell stories. Daemon touches the face of the weirwood tree, which has actually been crafted to resemble that of Game of Thrones creator George R.R. Martin. The blood-red sap travels along his hand, and now we realize it wasn't literal blood on his hand he experienced throughout the season, but the sap of the weirwood. What Daemon experiences appear to be visions of the future, starting with these bloody roots leading to a man known as Brynden Rivers, or Lord Bloodraven. This is quite interesting because his character isn't born until about 40 or so years after the events of the Dance of Dragons. Up until this point in the Game of Thrones universe, it's been unclear if Brynden Rivers is indeed the three-eyed raven we saw in Game of Thrones, but with us seeing this literal three-eyed raven, I think it's a safe bet that they're one and the same. The three-eyed raven was what's known as a greenseer, a leader of the Children of the Forest who had magical abilities like warging, influencing animals, and could see into the future. I also think there's an ulterior motive to put him in here, as Brynden is a character in the upcoming spin-off Duncan Egg or the Hedge Knight. Daemon also encounters the bloody aftermath of a battle. Notice there are multiple dead dragons here, and I think the one at the very front is Sea Smoke.
I'm glad I'm watching this video because, damn, I'm learning a whole bunch of stuff. I need to go back and watch this episode. Or the last couple, damn, man.
Notice there are multiple dead dragons here, and I think the one at the very front is Sea Smoke, who has these weird skin tag looking protrusions under its jaw. If you want to know what battle this is and who these other dragons are, stay tuned for the very end of the video where I go over some of these spoilers, including what this shot of Daemon getting sucked into water means. Finally, we have this comet. It was said in the prophecy of the Song of Ice and Fire that a, quote, bleeding star would herald the coming of the prince who was promised. This was talked about by Viserys to young Rhaenyra as the person who would save humanity from the cold, dark forces ahead, mainly the White Walkers, which we also see in this vision. We also have 3 burning eggs belonging to Daenerys Targaryen. This doesn't necessarily mean Daenerys is the prince who was promised. Remember that the word prince in High Valyrian is gender neutral, but it certainly implies it's her, as we'll see Daenerys with her 3 hatched dragons, Drogon, Rhaegal, and Viserion. Daemon then sees Rhaenyra sitting on the throne before being interrupted by Helaena, who says he knows his part in this story. It seems that the whole purpose of this vision was to sway Daemon into taking his place by Rhaenyra's side, as it's part of a grander story he has no control over. It also appears that Helaena is conversing with him all the way from King's Landing. In a departure from the book, Helaena in the show is depicted as a dreamer, someone who can predict future events. But now it seems they've given her even more power, the power to enter these dreams and communicate with those in them. She'll later tell Aemond that he will die, just like what Alice said to Daemon in episode 201. Do these two share a connection or simply have the same sort of power? But this also raises the question. If Helaena could see the future, how come she didn't stop her child from being murdered, or Aemon's attack on Aegon? I hope the show will answer this, as the leading theory right now is that she understood.
If Sir Kristen, or whatever his name is, wasn't smashing the queen, he'd be guarding the babies, and the babies wouldn't even, or that baby wouldn't even be dead. Another reason why, Sir Kristen, that boy gotta go, dog.
Her dreams truly meant until this point. Aemon comes to once again ask, or rather demand, that his sister accompany him on Dragonback to lay siege to Harrenhal. She refuses. She knows he was responsible for Aegon's downfall at the Battle of Rook's Rest. She saw that he burned him, and in an act of defiance, whether true or not, she says Aegon will be king again. Currently, he sits on a wooden throne, which may be a reference to either his bed or the wooden carriage we'll see him escaping in at the end of the episode. Furthermore, she tells Aemon that he'll be swallowed up in the gods.
He making Quasimodo looking like most good-looking man of the year and shit. The way he be looking right now.
A reference to the lake that surrounds the Isle of Faces south of Harrenhal. If we're to believe her, Aemon will die somewhere in and around that lake. Now, Aemon threatens her, saying this is tantamount to treason, but she doesn't care. It won't change his fate. So it looks like Helaena will not be going into battle. She doesn't in the book. However, at this point in the book, she's already gone mad after the death of her son Jaehaerys. So that's still a potential aspect the writers could
I gotta read the books.
Upon hearing news of treachery afoot at Harrenhal, Rhaenyra hauls ass, taking along with her Adam and Seasmoke. It's also interesting she chooses Adam and not Jace. She continues to protect him, knowing this meeting could be dangerous. It's not long before Rhaenyra clocks the giant army around Harrenhal, and Sir Simon ushers her in to reconnect with her husband. What I found interesting here is that no one bows as Rhaenyra, their queen, enters. It adds to the tension of whether or not Daemon
I didn't even notice that. I didn't notice that. I didn't put that together. Nobody bowed. Wow. That says a lot. That does add to the tension of the story. Because it's like, yo, are you with her? Are you siding with Daemon? Why is this even still an issue? Why is this even up in the air? I can see why she would be questioning, because it's like, yo, these guys should already be aligned, ready to serve her. So automatically, as soon as she walks in, they should be already bending the knee. But right here you see that, yeah, that's not the case.
Their queen enters. It adds to the tension of whether or not Daemon will forsake his wife and take control of the army. Although these men are sworn to him, he is sworn to Rhaenyra, and in front of everyone he bends the knee. To keep the rest of their conversation private, Daemon speaks to Rhaenyra in High Valyrian, telling her this is just the start of a greater battle. Winter is coming, and along with it, darkness and doom. These words make Rhaenyra think Daemon sounds like her father. In his speech to the soldiers, he says they are with Rhaenyra until death or the end of our story.
That was great to see him actually, play his role. That was great.
Very interesting choice of words, since story is what Helena said to him in his dream. Even though Daemon has bent the knee, she still has some strong words for him. Leave me again at your peril. His cheeky response, I could not, I have tried, my queen. Notice how they both move their heads closer together but pull back. This is a sign of affection we've seen them do before, but now is not the time in front of their newly pledged soldiers. On the eve of sending off Corlys's new ship, the queen who never was, Corlys wants to make sure he's on good terms with his first mate, Alan of Hull. But Corlys is sick and tired of Alan's silent and distant demeanor. That's because Alan has been harboring years of shame and resentment. Growing up, he would have to watch as his grandsire walked past him with his other children while he struggled to eat and keep warm. It only seems that now, after Corlys has lost his wife and children, that Corlys pays him any attention.
100%, because he wasn't even really paying him no mind until that was, and I didn't really realize that until he said it. I was like, yeah, I mean, you ain't really messing with me until your other kids are gone. And also a question, is he the true heir? The bald guy? Him? Because if he's older than the other kid, he should be heir to whatever this guy's got.
Like he's some backup son he can turn to when needed. That's why he says,
if I survive this war, I'll continue as I began, alone.
Rhaenyra and her master of whisperers discuss the brutal war ahead. Their plan will result in the deaths of thousands of innocent men, women, and children. And note that Mysaria invokes the gods here, saying that they favor Rhaenyra. Over the course of the season, Rhaenyra has used more and more religious phrasing, which is interesting since she never was one for religion as a youngster. By saying things like, the gods favor you, I fear Rhaenyra will think it will absolve her of the crimes she's about to commit, since they are ordained by God. Tyrants and despots throughout history have used God as a means to justify their actions, and it looks like this is where the writers are taking Rhaenyra. Later,
don't they treat the dragons as gods though too?
that night, Rhaenyra is awoken by her Kingsguard, which has got to be a frightening thing for her, as the last time she was awoken by one of her guards, she was almost assassinated. In a major departure from the book, Alicent Hightower has risked her life and made her way to Dragonstone to sue for peace.
I don't like her.
She's seen how dangerous Aemond can be, and
it's her fault it's all like this. And she thinks she could just hit up Rhaenyra and be like, yo, I'm gonna move out the castle. You just go ahead and you get up in there and everything will be okay. Like, nah. Rhaenyra straight up tells her, I'm gonna have to murk your son, cut his head off, and call it a day in front of everybody. That's when I'll call it a day. It's like, it's already gone too far.
And the lives of her other children, Aegon, Helena,
and would she even be saying anything if her son didn't like kick her to the side and be like, yo, your place is for more other domestic duties. You don't need to be here. Get up out of here. Like, come on.
Be taken from her at any moment, whether it be by Aemond or by war. Alicent is a woman who never made her own choices in life. She was told who to marry, what to do, and believed following the path laid out for her would give her security. It was this very reason she resented Rhaenyra, who was always so carefree and did her own thing. Perhaps that's why she clung to being so virtuous, a way for her to defy Rhaenyra. Alicent talks of feeling like a weight had been lifted off her as she left King's Landing, and she wants to be free of the endless plotting and striving. She wants to take her daughter and grandchild far away and leave it all behind. But now it's Rhaenyra who says it's too late. Alicent set all of this in motion. Did she really come here thinking she would be absolved?
What about her dad?
Alicent talks about how Viserys, even though he was married to Alicent, never stopped loving his first wife, Aemma. In Season 1, as Viserys gets weaker, we'll see him kiss Emma's ring as he fondly thinks of her. But it was this very love that sustained him in his steadfastness in making sure Rhaenyra is his heir.
It was
cold.
His love for her that kept him resolute in his choice of her.
Alicent has an insane plan that when Aemon goes to join Cole in the Riverlands, Helena, who will be the crown's authority, will open King's Landing for them so that Rhaenyra can enter the city with no bloodshed and she can claim the throne. She even says that Aegon will bend the knee, but I'm like, have you seen his knee lately? But Alicent knows that by coming here and proposing such a plan, she would be condemning Aegon to die. There is no way, even if Rhaenyra wanted to, that she could let Aegon live. Such a treasonous act
They should
must
have
be
just.
met with.
She shouldn't even have did that because Aegon didn't even want to be king. He was just a spoiled little brat out here, doing his thing, partying with his boys. Everything would have been cool if Rhaenyra would have been queen. They all still would have been chill. Would have been set still. He would have been partying. Instead, he can't even use his dick. He is burnt to crap. He's crippled. And nobody likes him.
Death. So Alicent must choose. Will she leave Dragonstone shrinking away from what she set out to do, or will she make the ultimate sacrifice, a son for a son? And look at Rhaenyra here. She's on the brink of tears too. This is her old friend. She knows the pain of losing a son too, and the absolute torture this decision must be. Although Alicent says no words here, she does nod yes. But where do they go from here? Alicent says in 3 days' time, fly to the Red Keep and take the throne. History will view Alicent as a villain, a cold queen grasping for power, but she is a shell of the woman she once was. She no longer has any ambition, but just wants to walk where she pleases, breathe the open air, and die unnoticed. What follows is a montage showing all our characters as they prepare for war. And if this ending is any indication, we are in for one hell of a season 3 opener. We have Adam and Ulf putting on armor.
I want to be in for one hell of a whole season 3. Forget just the opener. I want the whole season to be cracking.
Waste to Old Town and Lannisport. Rhaena discovers Sheepstealer, and the Hightower army marches northward with Darren's dragon Tessarion in tow. The last few episodes, the small council has remarked how Lord Ormond Hightower's army was being attacked by House Beesbury, the former Master of Coin who was killed by the Greens soon after Viserys' death. It looks as though the arrival of Tessarion has or will put an end to any future attacks. The Stark army has come with the 1,000 Greybeards Cregan Stark offered at the beginning of 201. This is an insanely long distance for them to travel, and it's taken them 8 episodes. The Greybeards are older but more experienced fighters. They're crossing the Twins, the stronghold of House Frey. Jace made a deal with the Freys back in episode 205 to allow the Starks to cross, giving them Harrenhal should they be victorious. We also have Jason Lannister's army alongside the Lord of House Lefford. Judging by these 2 rivers here and the fact Jason said he turned the Red Fork River red with blood, that's where I'm guessing they are. And is that Harrenhal in the distance? Last we heard, Aemond ordered Jason to make his way to Harrenhal, even if it means not having a dragon escort. Things could get really dicey if one of Rhaenyra's dragon riders were to spot them. Daemon here overlooking his army in his full armor. You can just sense war is close. Thailand making his way in this.
I really wanted some more to happen at the end of this season. At least something. Let somebody get decked with the arrow to the dome or something. Anything.
Stormy seas with Lohar and his armada. I just hope he had a good time with Lohar's wives. Alan and Corlys sit in silence as their boat makes their way to the
put in the work on the wives real quick.
Out to sea. And look who it is, our old hand of the king, who we haven't seen since episode 202, Otto Hightower. He looks to be imprisoned in either some sort of dungeon or brig. No one has seen or heard from him since he left King's Landing. If I had to guess where or by whom he's imprisoned by, it's Loras Strong. Remember that Aemond tasked Loras with retrieving Otto so that he could be his hand, but Loras wouldn't want that at all. Loras wants to be hand. So I think the Master of Whisperers found Otto and had him imprisoned. That could be some really important leverage in the months to come. He may even be on his way to Essos, where Larys and Aegon are headed. Speaking of Larys and Aegon, the 2 flee King's Landing in a wagon of ravens. I'd like to think there are chickens in here as well, as it would be quite ironic to have these 2 chickens in a wagon of literal chickens. It's a long way to Essos, so we'll see if they're successful making their way there. I wonder how this also throws a wrench in Alicent's plan. She promised Rhaenyra Aegon's head, and when she comes and finds Aegon is missing, Rhaenyra will undoubtedly think Alice had some sort of hand in it. But the season ends on the 2 women who have been the driving force for much of these past 2 seasons. These shots are absolutely gorgeous. Here's Rhaenyra, a small part of such a grander picture with the literal history of her family and stories of the past surrounding her in these scrolls, as she looks at a dragon that was killed long ago. Then there's Alicent, now free without the confines of her castle, which have imprisoned her all these years. She is breathing that open air she so desperately wanted. Now here is your spoiler warning for just a few bits of information regarding Daemon's vision.
Watch out if you ain't trying to hear a spoiler, or you're tired of the spoilers we're giving.
Don't want to be spoiled? Turn away now. This image here, I think, is the second Battle of Tumbleton, because if I'm correct that this is Sea Smoke dies at this battle along with Vermithor and Tessarion. This would explain the multiple other dragon wings in the background. Adam Velaryon, Hugh Hammer, and Prince Daemon Targaryen are among the casualties here. Daemon's death is foreshadowed when he steps into this rushing swirl of water. Both Daemon and Aemon die in battle as they fight each other on Dragonback in what's known as the Battle Above the God's Eye, that lake that surrounds the Isle of Faces south of Harrenhal. But as Daemon said to Rhaenyra, this war is far from over. Season 2 seems to have been but a prelude for the absolute chaos and destruction
that's how I took it.
But what did you think of the finale? I want to hear your thoughts and theories
I thought it was
in the
weak,
comments
man.
below.
Well, I shouldn't say weak. Like I said throughout this whole episode, I wanted more war. Why couldn't you make it like 10 episodes, 2 episodes of the war, 9, 10, and then have the third season break off who's gonna win the war? You know, with the first episode of the third season finishing off the war from the prior 2 episodes. But no, you want us to wait another 2 years, man. God forbid a writer's strike.
Thanks for watching.
But yeah, like he said, thanks for watching. Yeah, stay tuned for the next video. I'm gonna be uploading some more Game of Thrones stuff, House of Dragon stuff.
In the background.
Yeah, so stay tuned. See you guys later.